Here it is behind me. That's the MacBook Pro. It was at the beginning of the year 2018, so about 6 months ago, that I got this computer here, top of the line with all the specs, the best graphics card that Apple could offer. It's Radeon. So I was very happy when I received it. I ignored maybe a few signals that that I should have not ignored about the quality of the computer and potential problems from other users, from forums, and maybe even with some common sense I could have expected that. So anyway, it's a nice computer. It looks good, space gray, nice design, metal casing, very good screen. No doubt that's a nice computer. The operating system is nice, although the Finder is a little bit dated. iCloud is unusable, but otherwise for other things, it's a nice system. At least if you're used to it, if you like I am. I've been using Macs for more than 10 years now, 15 years. And well, I have to say this one might be actually my last piece of Apple equipment. I stopped using iPhones already because of quality issues, because the user interface. I find Android's much better nowadays and easier to use, but that's my own personal thing. And I digress. Let's go back to the MacBook Pro. The touch bar is useless. Useless touch bar. It gets hot. It's not useful. No programs take a really good advantage of it in a manner that would actually increase your productivity. I know in a previous video I said it was nice with a video editing program, but it was looking nice at that moment. I just never really used it, and I would never use it that way. I miss the good keys, the good old keys, the function keys. If you wanted to turn down the volume or brightness, it was so easy just to press the right key and do it, and you had a tactical feedback that you don't have here. So that's one thing. The touch bar gets hot. It doesn't have a very good viewing angle. So if you're not above the computer, or at least 45 degrees or something, you're not really going to see what's on the keys, and you really have to look up and see how to do the things you want to do. And turning down volume or turning up the volume and things like this, it's a two-step operation, because the keys, the virtual keys, whatever, collapse back in some sort of a drawer, so you have to press and then you have to move. It's really not it's not user friendly. I don't know who designed that. I think that person should take a small holiday. I think. So what you can do, and that's what I did, you go in operating system, you go on a keyboard settings, and you set the touchback to emulate the keys that were on every Mac computer before that. F1, F2 with all the the volume controls and all these things. Now, if you have that, then why have the touchpad at all? Because it gets hot and it's not nice to the touch. It doesn't have a good view angle. I don't know. It's beyond me. I don't know why they did it. If they wanted to have a touch bar, they could have maybe replaced the mouse pad or something, but not that. The keyboard is uncomfortable. Maybe it's a personal thing. I've never heard of a person though that likes the keyboard. So if you do any work with typing, you shouldn't use it. And anyway, they tend to break very easily. I had some keys go crazy a little bit on me. So some keys don't type the first time you put your finger on it. So you misspell things, or maybe you press the key more often. You press it once, but the character comes out more often than it should. So there were a lot of spelling mistakes. Now, I know the new Macs have some sort of a protection, but I don't know how good they are. I've heard Apple will fix it for free, but going to the Genius Bar, the last time I went there to have my Mac checked, I couldn't stay there. They say you have to wait between 2 and 5 hours, and you have to be available. We will text you, and you have to come in within 10 minutes. I don't know who has time for this. I didn't have time. I was trying to find a day because I have more issues with the Mac. So the keyboard is horrible. If you do any work that requires typing and you don't want to walk around with an external keyboard, then don't. And now let's go to USB-C. The MagSafe was a nice solution on the Mac. It was working well. It's nice to have a USB-C that I can use to charge other telephones, but I don't those break down really easily. They have a long shape, long and thin, and they're quite delicate. I'm not particularly rough with these things, so, but I'm still at my third cable, and it adds up to the expenses. One cable every 2 months, I suppose. I'm not the only person either, so I can tell you here, it's not me being particularly rough. Maybe someone is nicer, maybe someone is luckier, I'm not. Having to use dongles for everything is not good. SD cards, you have to use the dongle. I still have USB devices that require a USB, whether it's USB sticks, memory sticks, hard disks, external hard disks. So you have to use a dongle every time, and the dongle gets hot sometimes, and you will, at least in my case, sometimes I worry, oh, is it getting too hot? So let's unplug the devices for a little while and then put it back in. I don't think this is a very good way to keep up with your workflow. So no, that wasn't a good thing either. And USB ports get consumed, I suppose, because I have one of the 4 ports that is no longer, at least when I plug in the power cable, sometimes it charges, sometimes it's not, so I have to turn it around to the other side, and it will be more reliable. So I suppose because you have to do everything with those tiny little ports, it might be a little bit delicate. So that's not a good thing. Now, the other thing that is not good is the screen. I've heard from a computer repair shop, because I was trying to get an explanation how my problem came to be. They made the cable very thin, the video cable, basically the cable that connects the video card to the screen from inside the computer. This is apparently in order to save 1/10 of an inch. A reduction nobody asked for it, because it's a pro computer, and people were okay having a computer that might be a little bit thicker, but working properly with the right ports. They didn't do that at Apple. They wanted to make it thin and stylish. I don't know, following what kind of guidelines. And basically, it's very delicate. I've heard this. In my case, apparently, I've been closing and opening the screen too many times in 6 months. Maybe I should have opened and closed the computer only once a day and not 2, 3, 4 times a day. It's a portable computer, but I should have kept it on my desk, I suppose. This is according to Apple's logic, I think. And well, what happened is that apparently something is wrong with the cable, and I'm showing you some examples here, how it looks like. So the screen is messed up. You have a lot of crazy things in the screen. In my case, if I keep the computer open only 10 degrees or 15, I don't know, I didn't measure that, I can peek inside and work with it. So this is okay if I'm on the road and I have an emergency and I have to send some files or do something like this. Now I discovered that if I have the right screen background color and I don't use the left, I think 5th or 6th part of my screen, so I keep all the windows in the right part and I have no elements in the left, then I will be able to work on the right part. This is what I have now here. So if I move the screen to the left, it goes crazy, see? So I have to keep everything on the right. This is until I will get it fixed by Apple. Now, I've heard that even if it's a small cable issue, they have to change the whole thing here. And it could be a 7, 8, 9 or 1,000 euro issue. Apple has this new philosophy now that if anything small breaks down, they have to replace the whole part, if not the whole computer. And I hope they will replace that, because I've heard that Apple doesn't really honor their guarantees. And partly because the Mac fanboys are they're such fanboys that if something goes wrong, they tend to blame themselves and not the Mac or Apple. I don't know. I haven't experienced that because I have to get close to the Apple technicians first and see what they think. They might say, "Oh, maybe you dropped it, this and that," which I know would have nothing to do with this in this case, because it just happened suddenly one day. So this is not a very comfortable system to work. What I do is, when I'm on location in the office, what I do is just to keep the computer closed, have an external keyboard, and have an external monitor. Is this good? I don't know, because it's a laptop. It's a very expensive laptop. It was over 3,000 euros, and it shouldn't come with all these problems. I'm speechless when I see these things. Then otherwise the screen is a nice screen, although not perfect. And Dell computers offer a true 4K resolution screen, and these ones are not 4K. They are higher than HD, but they're not 4K. And coming to the Dell computers and maybe other brands, I don't know, Lenovo and probably some others, they probably offer better solutions. They have reliable keyboards that are actually feels good to the touch. They have USB ports. They have all kinds of expansion ports, HDMI ports. You don't have to use a dongle for everything. They might even have SD ports. I don't remember if it's mini SD, micro SD, or really real SD. That depends on the model. They have a plastic casing that doesn't look as good, but is actually better in many cases. They are less delicate. They don't have hinges that are attached with small screws that go crazy on you. And Apple computers, and I've had this since 2003. I remember my first Apple computer. Was a bit amazed to the aluminum body. Sometimes touching it gave me some sort of an electrical, I wouldn't say shock, but there was something to it. So sometimes I miss having the plastic case. I don't know. We'll see how Apple fixes all these problems. Because if they don't behave properly, if they don't really honor and acknowledge all their faults and take responsibility for it, then this is going to be my last Apple product after 15 years. I have already moved my workflow to programs that are by platform, that don't only run on Apple computers, so no Final Cut Pro anymore. But you cannot use Premiere on the Macs. It's way too slow, unless you maybe with HD, but not with 4K. The Radeon cards are not, and Apple and Adobe products, they're just not optimized to work with each other. I don't know why they don't. Both companies, but they haven't thought of it. I have no idea. So I've been using DaVinci Resolve, which is okay, but some parts I don't think it's still finished for it to be a perfect editing platform. It's still not perfect. There are some things that make it look a little bit amateurish, but we'll come to that on one of the next videos. But it's okay. It works. It's relatively fast. It's nice, and it might not be as fast as Final Cut Pro, but as I said, I don't want to be dependent on one platform. And even if you're on this platform, we've seen what Apple did to people once they switched from the older Final Cut Pro to the newer ones, to Final Cut Pro X. So I don't trust them anyway with software. And I think it's better to use a platform you can trust and gives you the freedom to, not a platform, software, give you the freedom to choose the platform you prefer. So I'll give you an update also on what Apple does with this once I have time to go to the store and try to get it fixed, see what they say. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any information, concerns, ideas, whatever, comments. Thank you, and